Ohayou gozaimasu. Thank you, Sensei, for assembling those beautiful pictures and for your message this morning. Some of the words that stuck in my mind from last night's speech was duty of care. I think that we are the inheritors of the duty of care shown by our parents, our grandparents, the founders of this temple, their ancestors, also our ancestors. So I wanted to reflect a bit on our duty of care as an example of our living our Dharma, embodying the Dharma. And I wanted to reflect in particular on one line that we read today from the Dhammapada. It is the one that says, "The man who delights in the stilling of thought, who lets his mind dwell on the unpleasing, by this verily he will cut through, destroy ignorance." So that phrase, "let our minds dwell on the unpleasing," what does that mean? Why would someone want to dwell on the unpleasing? However, the Buddha said we should not turn away from suffering. Perhaps that is what it means. Perhaps by not turning away from suffering, by being diligent, by being constant in our duty of care, we witness suffering. We deeply hear suffering. And in that work, we begin to practice the truth. When I was a hospital chaplain, I was assigned to visit primarily patients on the oncology floor and to go on rounds with doctors and nurses in the neonatal intensive care unit. With adult patients, once they accepted me into their room for a visit, I would usually try to find a chair so I could be at eye level with them as they would be in their bed. It made both of us more comfortable. And I'd sit at an easy distance from them so we could hear one another well enough. I would try to settle into their space and gauge their current condition, to get a feel for what might be on their mind or heart, or to ask if or what they might share with me in the role of an intimate stranger. I thought at best I would be a distraction for them, or just give them a break from what could be their boredom, or perhaps the seriousness of their situation. And in their stories, which could range from joy to heartbreak, stories about their family or friends or neighbors, their stories would become a container for their own tears or their own laughter. Perhaps they were surprised at what they would say or ask. They could be free with me in ways that perhaps they could not be free with their family or their friends or their doctors. I wasn't anyone they would have to worry about. In each visit, I had two hopes. First, just to be there with them for whatever they might need in that moment. They might need to talk or to reflect on their own strengths, to express their confidence or their fears. And my second hope was that I would be able to respond to them with safety and assurance that would promote their particular sense of wellness or wholeness. And each time I'd come away with a reflection, sometimes great wonder, surprise, or even a prayer in my mind as I'd walk from their room back down to the hall. Perhaps what is meant by dwelling in the unpleasing, and I mean not just visiting, but really sticking around within the discomfort or the unpleasantness, trying to practice witness, practice the truth. We can find ourselves in a state of compassion. The word compassion literally means with suffering. And now these days, when we call our family and friends to check how they're doing during this time of isolation, if we look deeply and if we look tenderly, we lose both ourselves and we find ourselves in the effort that we make to comfort others. If they honor us with their trust, if we can spend a little time with them inside perhaps their uncomfortable, unpleasing conditions, together we can experience a revelation of our true selves. This suffering we witness, if we don't turn away, becomes a mirror to the human condition that we all share, where we live our precepts to do no harm, to do good, to do abundant good for all beings. Out of our own comfort zone, when we dwell on the unpleasing, we become aware of and we check our own passions. We become tender both with ourselves and with others. We can become whole. We can heal. We can create, we can contribute to the legacy that we've inherited. And we can destroy ignorance. I'd like to close with a short poem from a new translation of the Theravada, the verses of the elder nuns, one of the sacred texts of early Buddhism and the world's oldest collection of women's literature. This poem is called Conqueror by a nun named Genta. Genta writes, I was forever getting lost until one day the Buddha told me to walk this path, you will need 7 friends: mindfulness, curiosity, courage, joy, calm, stillness, and perspective. For many years, these friends and I traveled together, sometimes wandering in circles, sometimes taking the long way around. There were days when I thought I couldn't go on. There were days when I thought I was finally beaten. It's scary to give all of yourself to just one thing. What if you don't make it? Oh, my heart, you don't have to go it alone. Train yourself to train just a little more gently. Namo Kia Butsu. Namo Kia Ho. ナムキエス。ありがとうございます。
吉井さん、ありがとうございます。Thank you.